The 50-acre Alpenrose Dairy is much more than a place that produces milk. The surrounding grounds hold ball fields where Little League games are played all summer long, some involving national tournaments. Then there are the holiday events, including the much-loved Easter egg hunt, and the bike racing track called a velodrome.
I think it's the oldest one on the West Coast.
The future of all that is unclear. Family members that control the company say they're selling to another big dairy company in Kent, Washington called Smith Brothers Farms. Smith Brothers leader said his goal is continuity in the business operations and the workforce, but all employees have to reapply for their jobs. The Alpenrose land is not part of the deal and could be sold separately. Jen Featheringale is the velodrome's track director. She said many racers worry the land will be sold and the track closed.
The Alpenrose family has given us so much that it's hard, they feel like part of the family. And so there's a large contingent of us who are, steadfastly behind the Cadnaghs and keeping the facility going.
She's talking about the other part of the family that owns Alpenrose. They are suing to stop the sale, saying they want to buy the place themselves and will keep the community events going. That group filed suit in court Friday to block the sale. Both sides will meet again in 3 weeks.